So I want to talk about algae because that's been something that I've been steadily working on over the past year or so. This time last year and even earlier into the spring, more like March, April, May, the pond was very, very green, like bright green pea soup, murky, and it's not necessarily problematic. It's unsightly, and when you have an algal bloom, it's like, do I have to worry about it being some kind of toxic algae that's gonna be bad for the aquatic life in our pond? So I'd rather the water just be clear so I don't have to worry about it. So I did a lot of modifications on our setup, and one of the main things was adding the shade cloth to shade the pond, and kind of this time of day, sun is directly overhead, and that helps a lot. But there's all sorts of products you can buy, and I tried different things like the barley straw. You could either buy some kind of like extract or buy actual like barley pellets and submerge it in the water. And to be honest, I didn't really find that made much of a difference. But the one thing I did find that seemed to help quite a bit is this product called Nualgi. And I'm really not a product person at all. So this was kind of just like a last ditch attempt at, sort of an easy fix to a complex problem. And I was intrigued by it because it's marketed as a biological solution. The primary ingredient in this stuff is actually nanosilica particles. And how it works is that it feeds, it provides food for diatoms, which are a form of algae. And so the Nualgi has, we'll wait for that loud motorcycle to pass. In addition to the nanosilica, it has various minerals like iron and calcium and zinc and copper and magnesium and sulfur, and I'm sure other ones as well, that cause rapid growth in the diatoms, and they consume more nutrients in the water. So they're consuming the nitrogen and the phosphorus and outcompeting the species of algae that turns the water green. So it's a little tricky because I wasn't completely scientific in my approach of testing whether or not the Nualgi made a complete difference, because we were trialing other things at the simultaneously. There's the addition of the shade, and I was being more diligent about removing decomposing organic matter from the pond, like fishing out all the leaves and making sure the ducks didn't have any food getting into the pond, and all sorts of things. So there's all sorts of confounding variables, but I feel really confident that this actually made a difference, and the theory behind it makes sense to me. So my next phase of I only use, like it says, use this weekly, but I use about I use a little pipette here, and I drop about 2 milliliters and dilute it with some water and then dump it into the pond. But I don't actually think it needs to be used that often. I think once you have kind of a healthy population of diatoms in your aquatic system, I'm almost wondering if the nutrients from the duck waste and other sources of minerals that make their way into the pond might even be sustaining these diatoms. So I don't want to have to continue buying this product perpetually. It is on the more expensive side. This one bottle though has lasted me like a year, which is pretty cool. But one thing I'm really curious about is whether or not I can achieve the same results by using things that are more readily accessible. So for example, horsetail has a relatively high, it's composed of like 10% silica. And so I'm thinking like, oh, what if I can grow horsetail in the bog, or what if I can, harvest horsetail somewhere else and infuse it somehow into the pond. I'm not sure yet. I don't have this all figured out, but I'm just thinking about ways that I can continue to you know, make sure that the pond has what it needs to continue perpetuating the benefit, you know, the conditions that are helpful for the diatoms to do their job. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. Yeah, algae is kind of annoying, but we feel like we've got a pretty good handle on it. So yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit about what we do.